Thank you so much, and hello everyone. Anything else, ask yourself this. When was the last time you felt like boredom truly works for you, not just around you? Thank you again for being here. We're really excited to talk with you today, not just about ideas, but about real, tangible changes we want to build together. At the core of our campaign is one simple principle: ACT, accountability, community, transparency. Because boredom should be a place where people are held accountable, where everyone feels like they belong, and where nothing that impacts students happens behind closed doors. And right now, we believe there's work to do on all three. Before diving in, I want to share a bit about why this matters to me. I'm a first-generation college student who has been working in corporate environments in Manhattan since the age of 15. I'm a New York City native, and I've lived in 2 of the boroughs and now reside in Westchester County. Since freshman year, I've served the Office of Legal Counsel, working directly with leadership at the highest levels of universities, such as the president. I also serve 2 nonprofits, one of the largest in the country focused on post-college employment, and I've had the opportunity to lead and captain these organizations into success for students. Throughout these experiences, I've seen firsthand how difficult the transition from college to career can be, and how often students are left to navigate alone. Amid growing fears around postgraduate employment, I believe a mentor-to-hire program, alongside Young's Son believes, a mentor-to-hire program pipeline with real institutional backing is not optional but essential. And we are committed to bridging that gap in career opportunity and professional development, starting with transparency. Tuition keeps rising, and for many students, especially those relying on financial aid, that creates real stress. You deserve clear communication about why costs are increasing and what it means for you. That's why we're pushing for transparency around tuition decisions, along with percentage-based scholarships tied to the tuition, so your support grows as the costs grow. And transparency doesn't stop there. Students should know where their money is going. We're advocating for full visibility and how budgets are allocated to student organizations, because accountability starts with access to information. We would also like to increase funding for our performing arts organizations. This continues to bring us to accountability. Student concerns shouldn't be acknowledged and then forgotten. We want to establish monthly meetings between the big 4 organizations so concerns across campus are consistently heard and acted on, not just occasionally, but regularly, to bring to you what you need. We also want to bring accountability into everyday student life. That means extended dining hall hours that reflect real student schedules, more inclusive meal options that respect dietary and religious needs, and QR feedback systems so that students can directly shape their dining experience. Finally, community. We want Fordham to feel like a place where everyone belongs, not just socially, but structurally. That includes lunch programs where Fordham students give back to the Bronx through weekly English classes, because being part of the community also means supporting the learning around us. Winning this position would mean I would become the first Black student body president at Rose Hill. Now, community also means making sure every group around this campus feels supported, and that's something we're going to continue talking about. I'm going to pass it on to my VP to walk you through how ACT shows up for different groups across campus.
Thank you, Ashley. Hi everyone, my name is USG, and I'm a 3rd-year student here at Fordham University. Here's a quick introduction. I'm an RA, student worker for IT, have been employed in several legal firms, and have been involved in nonprofits, providing kids with free music lessons since the age of 14. I served this year as the Vice President of Communications and Marketing, and served on the Executive Board of RHA. I hope that in the coming year, we will be able to increase collaboration between the Big Four to improve on-campus events. Now, like we said, ACT, accountability, community, and transparency, isn't just a phrase, it's something we want to apply to every part of student life here at Fordham. Starting where we left off, I want to address the community. We want to make sure no one feels like they're navigating this school alone. For first-generation students and those in HEOP or CSEP, that means building mentorship systems that connect students with peers and mentors who share similar backgrounds, so guidance and support are always within reach. For students with disabilities, community means accessibility. We want to prioritize improving campus infrastructure so every space is accessible to every student, no exceptions. This includes residential halls such as Martyrs Court, which houses the largest number of freshman students on campus. For LGBTQ+ students, we're advocating for a dedicated support system within counseling and psychological services, where students can safely express concerns and know their comfort is taken seriously. And for students facing racial or ethnic discrimination, accountability matters. That's why we're calling for increased training for professors For professors to ensure classrooms are respectful, inclusive spaces. We also want to strengthen support for international students by expanding career services, creating pipelines to employers familiar with international hiring, and building long-term plans for students on F1 visas, starting early in their college experience. For commuter students, community means access. We're proposing travel stipends and meal support, so being on campus doesn't mean being left out. And for student athletes, we want to recognize the sacrifices that come with that commitment. We want to create mentorship opportunities and flexible academic resources to help balance athletics with long-term career goals. Now let's talk about academics and accountability. Your work before coming to Fordham should count. That's why we support advocacy for recognizing dual enrollment credits alongside AP credits. We also want to improve course registration by increasing the maximum capacity in high-demand STEM classes and extending the add drop period so students can make informed decisions without being penalized. Accountability also means fairness, which is why we want to work on the implementation of a uniform grading scale to ensure consistency across courses. We'd also like to increase dean check-ins, especially for freshmen, to help students stay on track and fully understand what courses are necessary to graduate on time. And finally, transparency and support in career development. Your major shouldn't determine the level of support you receive. We want to expand career services so students in all fields, whether that's business, medicine, or the arts, have access to specialized guidance, mentorship, and real opportunities. And one last very practical fix, reliable Wi-Fi across campus. Throughout next year, we'd like to install more Wi-Fi routers throughout campus. At the end of the day, ACT isn't just what we stand for, it's how we plan to lead. More accountability, stronger community, real transparency, and most importantly, a Fordham that works better for all of us. Thank you so much for your time, and remember to vote Carson because we'll get it done.
All right, thank you so much. We will now take our 3 questions from the room. Give it to you guys. Just make sure the mic is on. Candidates as well. Make sure your mics are.
Sorry, I can't hear them.
Okay.
Wait, does it work? Okay, perfect. Now.
Can you hear them now, Ashley?
Okay, so I have a question about the very last thing that you mentioned in your speech about the Wi-Fi routers. So in the email that we've just received about our tuition going up last week, one of the things that was mentioned was that Fordham's going to be cutting back on discretionary spending by 10%. How do you all plan on getting the funding for these new Wi-Fi routers?
Ashley, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so I couldn't really hear the question, but I heard a brief part of it, and it was asking about discretionary spending pertaining to the decrease of 10% and this impacting potential additions of Wi-Fi routers into the campus. So we believe, as we said, communication is integral to our campaign. By speaking with Fordham University's leadership, specifically Tetlow, which seems a pain, but I personally have had, various channels of engagement throughout my position and role in the Office of Legal Counsel. I do believe that we're able to communicate how this is not discretionary spending, but is integral to our community. Students experience delays in registration because of the poor connectivity issues or can't communicate back home. And I believe that just by simple communication, an email describing the percentage of students after creating a survey as well. Students that are being impacted by poor Wi-Fi routers on campus could be easily solved. Sorry.
Okay, so our next question is regarding your proposed initiative to create percentage-based scholarships. What kind of collaboration would this require with the administration, and do you have any sort of idea on if this would be feasible given budget constraints at Fordham and given just any constraints within the administration, then how does that
Can I take this one? Okay. So kind of expanding on that, we advocated for percent-based scholarships rather than amount-based. Right now, students, when they're offered financial aid, they're offered a certain amount, and that doesn't account for the rising tuition that we face year after year. So our proposal to change to a percent-based scholarship system would account for, let's say, like if a 15% scholarship was offered rather than an amount based of whatever that 15% of that tuition was. We would hope that that would cover the rising tuitions. And
Sorry, there's a lot of echoing, but I do want to add on to that. I believe this is communications that are needed to be had with the board because the board is the group that decides whether or not tuition increases or decreases. Personally, I have relations with 3 of the board members, which I cannot disclose, but if you were a member on USG with me, I'd definitely try to connect you at some point. Outside of that, as Yansu said, percentage base is integral to just supporting our student body, but having percentage-based scholarships rather than the way that they are implemented now would really help students that experience financial stress, especially amidst potential budget cuts to financial aid, and it would impact the future generations to come. So if you have a sibling, cousin, brother, we definitely want to advocate for this so we can advocate for you and also for the future. Thank you.
Okay. My next question is about, in your campaign, it's listed out that you guys plan on having programs to educate international students, especially incoming international students, on their rights. What specific programs do you guys plan on implementing, and could these be extended to non-international students, the people who could be impacted by ICE and who want to be educated on their rights?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again because I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you from
Yes.
here and I'm not sure if it's myself or you, and I apologize again.
No worries at all. I'll try and talk a little louder. So in your campaign, you guys talk about international students and educating them on their rights, especially coming into Fordham. What sort of programs do you guys plan on implementing in order to do this? And could these programs be extended to other members of the Fordham community?
Yeah,
to
of
promote
course.
their rights?
And that's a wonderful question you asked. International students are at the core of Fordham University, and we have so many on campus. Some I see in the audience today. One of the things we aim to implement is a university-wide newsletter, not just to international students, but really honing in on the international students during global transition. So it would be a newsletter that is sent out by the Office of the President, including your rights while the beginning of the year starts, and also rehashing that out during the second semester. That way students can understand how they are protected on this campus and outside of campus, but also extending that to their families, because we do have a lot of students whose parents are undocumented as well, and unfortunately at this current time they are also facing a lot of difficulties in our community. Thank you.
I think another organization that we could potentially work with is orientation. They have a really prominent role in freshmen, like once they start coming in. I think to reflect the current economic state, something that we could build into the orientation program is kind of a quick overview of not just international students' rights, but everyone's rights when it comes to unlawful stops by ICE agents.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddie Ondo,
And I am Aiden Johnson
and we're running for Fordham United Student Government to be your executive president.
and Vice President.
2 years ago, I wanted to be president, but wanting something isn't the same as being ready for it.
And that's something we both believe in. Growth over perfection.
Back then, I had the ambition, but not the experience, not the perspective.
What matters most isn't where you start, it's how you grow. And I watch Maddie grow to someone who doesn't just lead when things are easy, but shows up when they're not.
Through Model UN, through Fumes, through USG, through being vice president of facilities and dining, I've made mistakes, a lot of them.
But she didn't stop there. She learned how to listen, how to adapt, how to actually turn feedback into action.
I've learned how to fail upwards, to take responsibility, improve, and come back stronger for the people I represent. And that's why I'm running now.
And that's why I chose to run with her. Because leadership isn't about having all the answers, it's about being willing to grow into them.
And I didn't choose Aiden just because he's smart,
Which I am,
or because he knows a lot of people.
which I do.
I chose him because he's the kind of person who tells the truth and stands by it.
And Maddie's the kind of person who builds systems that actually work for people.
I've seen Aiden mentor students, not for recognition, not for credit, but because he genuinely cares.
And I've seen Maddie take students' concerns about dining, facilities, accessibility, and turn them into real conversations with our administration.
That's what this campaign is about,
Not just ideas.
but action.
So what does that actually look like?
Swings!
Yes, but more.
For us, it comes down to 3 things: advocacy, action, and spirit.
Advocacy means making sure your voice doesn't just get heard, but actually goes somewhere. That looks like elevating student feedback so it shapes every USG discussion, creating clear, consistent communication between students and administration, and making USG visible and accessible so you actually know where to go when something's wrong.
Because advocacy isn't just listening, it's about following through. Next, action, which means turning ideas into real, tangible change. That means pushing for improvements in dining and campus facilities, which we've done. Expanding accessibility efforts so every student can fully participate in student life. And increasing collaboration across departments so things actually get done, not just passed around.
Because students don't deserve more promises. We've had plenty of promises. Now they need results. And finally, spirit. Spirit is what makes Fordham feel like Fordham. This means building campus-wide traditions and events that bring people together, supporting clubs and organizations with the resources they actually need to thrive, and creating a campus environment where students feel connected, not just enrolled.
Because community isn't automatic. There's no off and on button. You have to build it.
We also know that none of this works if USG doesn't work itself.
So we're focused on making USG more connected, more transparent, and more accessible, so it becomes a space that actually represents all of you.
Because Fordham is full of incredible students, like you guys.
But too often those voices don't reach the spaces where decisions are made.
We want to change that.
Through our work in USG, we've already started bringing student voices forward through community tablings, accessibility initiatives, restoring St. Rose's Garden, Wellness Day, longer hours in the CAF, which is a proposal we passed last semester, commuter student funds, which we're working on right now, and making things more students aware of the commuter student travel grant. Real efforts to make students and meet them where they belong.
But we know USG has the capacity to do more.
Be more connected,
More transparent,
and more accessible.
because at the end of the day,
Student government should work for students.
This campaign isn't about being perfect.
It's about being present.
Together.
It's about building something better. We're not just running to lead. We're running to listen. For students, by students, to make Fordham happier. Thank you. Remember to vote Maddie and Aiden Johnson on April 20th to 21st.
All right, the rounds.
Okay, so first I would love to hear more about these swings that you plan to implement on campus. Where will they go and who will help implement them? And also, where will the funding for this come from, especially considering, like we said, Fordham has recently announced a 10% decrease in discretionary funding with budget constraints.
I'm so excited you asked that question. Okay, so I am right now the VP of Facilities and Dining, so I work very closely with facilities. And I've actually brought this question to John, who's one of the head of facilities, a lot, because I've been asked about hammocks, swings, chairs on campus. And so he's actually already said we can do this, and we have the spaces in mind. We want to put it in between Keating and JMH in that little grassy area, and one by the library as well. The funding for this will hopefully come through OSI if they approve it. OSI and student organizations get their money through the student activity fee that all of us pay every year to student government, so that money is a little bit more flexible in how we can use it, and swings themselves aren't that expensive.
Okay. So my second question is related to, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fordham will be getting a new contract with the food company next year that provides food for the CAF, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. So how do you, you guys, Fordham is ranked as one of the worst schools in the country for food. And also at your meetings multiple times, you guys have brought it up, student complaints about getting food poisoning and whatnot. So what changes are you guys going to make in the contract that comes out next year? How are you guys going to help facilitate that to make just dining and access to food just like a little better for the Fordham community overall?
First, throughout this semester, we've definitely created more pathways for students to make complaints, tell us what's wrong. We've elevated a lot of them to dining. And dining, I work with them a little biased, but they are constantly striving to make all of your experience better. It may not seem like it, but they're constantly working behind the scenes, looking at logistics. I've seen Xavier looking at spreadsheets about how to make everything better. But we would hope to work with the next VP of Facilities and Dining to make sure that the concerns of students are elevated and that in these upcoming contracts, students' concerns are heard, they're able to voice things that they want when it comes to dining options in the CAF, hours, all of those things. I also believe Ram Dining just sent out a newsletter about students joining a council to talk with dining about new changes and updates. So if students are interested in that, go look at your email.
Yeah, I also think, just a small follow-up, I was just thinking about your question. I think possibly even connecting Ram Dining and the Office of Multicultural Affairs, because we are talking about students of different religious backgrounds as well as ethnic backgrounds that have different dietary restrictions and needs, and connecting with the Office of Multicultural Affairs, which kind of serves as a hub for these students. That would be a great way of kind of going about it, and I understand work at the Office of Multicultural Affairs, so that would be a personal connection I can make. And honestly, I'm kind of thinking of it as I say it to you, I'm thinking about my answer. That's a great connection to make, and I think a lot could come from that.
All right, and for our last question, I saw in your proposal document, or sorry, your platform document that you would like to increase career-oriented jobs for students on campus. What would that look like, and what departments would that be in, as well as would that be feasible to sort of have the kind of resources and funding, et cetera, to accommodate increasing those jobs?
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Maddie go here, but she's actually already started something
Yeah,
like
we've already
this.
done it,
Yeah.
actually. So last semester, I spoke with facilities and I said, you guys have a lot of departments and a lot of areas that students are interested in. Why don't we create an internship program? And they immediately loved the idea. We took on 3 interns this semester, one of the highest paying jobs on campus, actually. One of our interns, Eddie, he is an electrical engineering student right now, and he is currently working with our electrical engineers and learning more about the systems on campus, touring with them. Charlie is another one. He's financing Gabelli, and he was able to work with the finance office, but also just all of facilities operations. And I work on construction contracts as well. So this is something completely feasible. We've already passed a proposal about it, and we just hope to expand it to other departments. Including Aiden, you also work with the Sustainability Office, right?
Yeah, I'm an intern at the Office of Sustainability, which falls under Facilities Management. So in a way, I do fall under this proposal, and it's super important to me. Being, something that Ashley Garcia was speaking about, being a first-gen low-income student, having access to internships on campus is super important, and the fact that I was able to technically be a part of this program means a lot to me. And so expanding that program so that other students across the university can gain relevant experience to their career trajectory is super important, and will put Fordham on the map even more than we already are.
The application for the summer's open.
Mentioned a lot about other students, low income, different cultures, different, Gabelli and commuters and all that, but you guys didn't mention anything about STEM. What is your plan for them? We are severely underfunded and undersupported. We have almost no internships and whatever we do, we're all scrambling for them, so it's,
Yeah. Can I answer this question first? Is that okay?
Oh,
Yeah,
please.
go for it, Ashley.
Yeah, so first off, what was your name?
sorry, I'm Caitlin.
Thank you so much for your question, and I just wanted to make sure I got your name. But if you look at our campaign proposal, one thing we are trying to adjust is the entire Career Services Center. Because to me, it doesn't make sense why an HR person would be telling a STEM student what to put on their resume and what experiences matter. Our ticket aims to combat against this and actually support STEM students and students of all pre-professional backgrounds and groups by restructuring the Career Services Center, but also bringing hiring and mentoring programs on campus. I personally, like I said, serve 2 nonprofits. One of them is business focused, it's Wall Street bound, but the other one is Sponsors for Educational for Opportunity. It has served over 10,000 students in the United States. And I am one of 4 captains for this organization, which is an honor for me. I absolutely love representing them. Our idea is to bring in companies like them, but also other companies such as hospitals or research and lab centers to work directly with the Career Services Center. So you guys, as students, can come in, ask them to pair you with a mentor. That mentor trains you for the next role that you want. And that way, when it's time to interview, you're already ready, you have the skills, and you can already have a connection. I personally have already worked on this by speaking to Sponsors for Educational Opportunity. They have already came to campus once, and they're willing to work with
To build off to that point, something we also wanted to address, and we talked about in our platform a little bit, was working with academics to increase the maximum capacity for classes that are required for students, for STEM students. So I understand that a lot of classes are required as prerequisites to move on through the system. So we want to work with them to increase that cap so that students aren't forced to take classes during the summer or have to go beyond the intended graduation period.
Okay, awesome. Would the other tidbit like to take
All
one?
right, this is a personal question for me because I am a STEM major. Shocking. Oh, we both are. We both are. I actually started off pre-med. That's why I joined Fumes. And I was unsure about whether I was going to do law or med until this year. So last summer, I actually really wanted to work as a medical assistant. But I kept getting rejected from jobs because hospitals tend to hire internally, and I didn't necessarily have all the right recommendations. So I printed out my resume, got on the Ram van, and walked up and down Manhattan, going into urgent cares to find a job. And I got turned down by so many urgent cares until one of them finally offered me an interview. And that is the current urgent care I work at now. And I've actually already made a connection with the Career Center to my urgent care to expand access to clinical hours for pre-med students, give them a chance to shadow our wonderful PAs, and also just to get more exposure to the medical field. I've introduced a lot of my friends to my manager, and they're currently shadowing at my urgent care. So this is a big passion of mine. I also know that there are a lot of pre-STEM and pre-med mentorship programs on campus. I think just giving them the resources and the time and directing students to them is the best thing we can do. I know there is a very nice pre-health database that was started by some members of USG in this room right now, and it's very helpful. It has MCAT resources and a lot of other resources. I also had to find my own connection when it came to research. I did research at Yale Medical School my freshman year summer because of a cold email, but I also know if we could form better relationships with schools in our area, like NYU and Columbia, we could make sure that our non-pre-med, more research-focused students are able to get the amount of lab hours that they need in order to be seriously considered for a master's or PhD program.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off that awesome answer. When I transferred into Fordham, I transferred in as a pure math major, so not necessarily chemistry or biology. I'm no longer pure math, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I do want to mention that I feel is really important: when you are a STEM underclassman, you do get to register for upwards of 21 courses, credits. And then as you get into your junior and senior year, you get 20 credits. So with that in mind, I wanted to share that, this is kind of making me think of one of our proposal points, which is bridging the gap between FCRH and Gabelli regarding resources. We are in New York City, so why do we lack these resources for our STEM students? I don't need to say it again, but we're in New York City. The hospitals here, Columbia, NYU, there are so many connections to be made. There are so many connections that probably already exist that we kind of just need to make that thread appear. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that.
All right, thank you, candidates. Do we have another question from the audience? Yeah, we'll go back here to Wesley.
Thank you. Great, amazing job, both of you guys. I have a question about mental health services that you guys both mentioned in your platforms and stuff like that. So you guys both mentioned expanding LGBTQ plus mental health resources in CPS. Yansu, you mentioned that. I think you guys had that in your Instagram platform. So what specifically would you implement into CPS that would kind of serve to or speak to the unique experiences of LGBTQ plus students at Fordham?
Thank you for the question, UG Stella. So I think that was an important point for us, and we have a few things about LGBTQ plus equity in our platform. And so there are actually already designated LGBTQ plus spaces in CPS, but that doesn't mean that there's not room for more growth. So I think having specialized counselors that are other queer people that will understand your perspective is what we would really hope to see from that. I really love that there are spaces like that. I think they have the group study. They have the group that goes on in a air basement, I believe. And yeah, one of the things I can just envision right now is those personalized connections with other queer people, because that's really important. You know, if you are a career student coming to CPS, you want to be able to connect with other career people who will understand your issues. So that's at least one thing I can think of.
And additionally, if there are students who don't want to maybe have a counselor who is affiliated with Fordham because of maybe stigma or just the worry it will get out, there are actually resources to help students do that. I was working with CPS this semester with other VPs, and we actually created a program with the peer counselors that will connect you with off-campus care if you need it. So we are working on cleaning up the database right now and going through everything, but this program exists. We want to spread more word about it, and we're hoping it will help students get the longer-term care if they need, if they're not comfortable with on-campus care, or if they just want to, find a different person.
To very quickly add on to that, also making sure to establish and strengthen our connections with the Title IX office, as well as the Office of Multicultural Affairs. I'm sure you're aware, working in conjunction with them, as well as myself being the cultural programming chair of OMA's LGBTQ+ committee. This is specifically important to me. So strengthening those connections and seeing what could come of that is really important as well.
All right, thank you, Kenneth. Any other questions from the audience?
Thank you. Wonderful, both of you, all of you. This is something specifically that you guys mentioned in your platform, Maddie and Aiden, but question for both of you. What would you specifically do to A, increase accessibility of USG to students, and B, what, if anything, would you like to do to internally reform USG to be even more effective and to enact even more change on campus?
Do you guys want to go first, or do you want my speak?
Sorry, can you repeat the question because I wasn't able to hear it?
Yes, two things. A, what specifically would you like to do to increase the accessibility of USG to students? I know that's something we talk about a lot, but often doesn't seem to really work that well. And B, what if any internal reforms would you like to make to USG to make it a more effective and efficient body?
I think an idea that would work to improve, the structure of USG and how it can better represent the student body is to increase attendance at our Senate meetings. We have Senate meetings every single week, and very, very few students attend them. I think something that we could do, a very easy change that we could implement, is just getting the awareness out there that we have these meetings every week, that students are welcome to come and share their ideas, that they should come. I think we could definitely offer incentives to have students to come, and I think that's very feasible.
In addition, VP Sun said, I would like to add on that one reason why a lot of students don't attend USG meetings at the regular Thursday 5:30 is because of the timing and because of the accessibility, again, as we were discussing. I think one way to combat against this is by including a link where students can submit anonymously or not anonymously their concerns for this campus. So during our Senate meetings or our weekly United Student Government meetings, we as a student body are able to serve as a voice for our people, but also review these concerns altogether, especially if it's concerns that we're seeing consistently. Sometimes students want to voice their opinions, but they just don't know how or aren't ready to. And giving that option remotely would allow us to connect to the student body without even having them directly be there. But in addition to that, I believe that some of the organizations that support USG can also have an increase in availability that can serve the committees as well. Thank you.
I completely agree with what Candidate Garcia said about anonymous complaints, and that is why at the beginning of the semester, we added 3 new areas on the USG website where you can put in an anonymous concern, anonymous ideas, and ask questions to USG. It is on our USG page. Actually, you saw how we add it to the website. So this has already been done. I think spreading awareness about it is really important, and that is why we think increasing our social media presence and recommitting to sending out our weekly or bi-monthly emails is really important so that students know what's going on within student government and that they feel encouraged to come. I also think more community tabling. So community tabling is something I, along with other VPs, started last semester. But it's a way for not just the Senate, who are required to do tablings, but also the E-Board, who represents the students on a larger scale in terms of our committees, to meet with the student body and hear their concerns. I was also at Meet the Candidates last night for the Senate, and a lot of them proposed a great idea, which is more town halls at the beginning of the semester, which I think is lovely, and I would love to work with any of the new candidates who become senators and VPs to make the change and add more town halls, because our previous town hall for contraceptive got a lot of interest in student government, and I think we can piggyback off of that engagement to continue showing students we care and show them we're fighting for something.
Yeah, I think to follow up on that answer, one big thing for us is transfer student visibility, and that taking the form of a USG, a USG committee for transfer students. You know, when I initially transferred into Fordham, it was quite the journey, and I was very lucky to find, well, I think the Office of Multicultural Affairs found me via job employment. But if I didn't have an office like that, I don't know if I would be here right now, because I might have transferred out, because I actually almost did. So having that visibility for transfer students, because we are growing in numbers every single day, is super important. I have a very good connection to, I forgot what his exact role, but I think he's the assistant dean in the transfer student realm. Robert Ronnie is his name. And he tells me often that transfer students and transfer applications to Fordham grow every single year. And this is, we are becoming a large part of the community. And if we're not represented, how are we supposed to be a part of our student government and be functioning members of our community? And so I think that's a great way to increase our visibility.
Do we have any other? Oh, Ashley, you want to follow up?
Yeah, sorry about that, but I do want to go back to when Maddie said that the website already has this link. I believe that what I said was that we would include it in our newsletter, and as you said, the newsletter is currently inactive, but when I do refer to the newsletter outside of the USG newsletter, I am referring to Priam's Involved that does go out weekly. To be involved on this campus, you do see Rams Involved weekly, and including that link there where all students view it, and it's to our student body would be extremely helpful to not only marketing USG, but also marketing voices that are unheard on campus. And in addition to that, prior to my departure abroad, I did write a proposal for transfer advising and transfer mentorship at Fordham University in communion with FCRH and GSP. Because I myself am an internal transfer student, but my roommate is also an external transfer student, and I remember how difficult it was for her to acclimate as a junior at Fordham University. So again, thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Ashley. We'll take one more from the audience. I'm going to head right over here.
Good speeches from the both of you guys, or both teams. I just want to ask, this question goes for Aiden and Maddie. You guys said that you guys have promises saying like the soft serve machine or increasing the hours in the marketplace or like the increased e-waste collection, but I'm not really seeing that implementing across campus. More specifically, I know a lot of students do complain about the short hours in the marketplace, and not all the time they want to go to Dagger or Urban. So I just want to know, like, when are you guys going to be implementing these, because I'm not really seeing the change.
That is a completely valid concern. I would love to see this change as well. Unfortunately, with these bigger proposals, there are a lot of things to take into consideration. So by extending the hours of the CAF, they would have to redo the worker contracts as well, because they are unionized, the CAF workers. All of the RMARC workers are unionized in order to protect their rights as well. So they have to be comfortable taking on those extra shifts and shifting their schedules accordingly. Dining has been wonderful in this. They actually recently just got all of the data, and they're looking forward to making this a possibility. Unfortunately, this isn't a shift that can happen overnight because of the legal constraints when it comes to contracts, but we hope to see it coming. In fact, I constantly ask Dining when this is going to be done. I update you all at meetings about my conversations that I've had with them. Even the smallest update, like, oh my God, guys, they finally have the spreadsheet ready, is something I will tell everyone proudly. In terms of the soft serve ice cream machine, they do have the capabilities for it. They're looking into the cost benefit analysis of it. Unfortunately, at other universities, soft-serve ice cream machines function a little bit more like McDonald's in terms of the fact that they're not always available or operational. But because of the consistent student engagement and happiness, as my committee member Charlie likes to say, that soft-serve ice cream brings, we are continuing to push them and encourage them to implement it into the CAP as well. I think you mentioned one other thing. Oh, the e-waste bins. This is actually on IT's side of things now. Aiden can talk a little bit more about that, but I know they are planning on at least moving some of the bins right now and hoping that an increased visibility of them will help amp up their use. And of course, if there is a substantial increase in use, they're willing to put the funds to it. But as we know, there was that 10% decrease in discretionary funding. So right now it's just promoting the resources we already have.
Yeah, I think I'll just shortly add on. Emily, we appreciate the question and your passion. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I think something really important that this makes me think about is the fact that change doesn't happen overnight. You know, we all want the CAP. I think for the most part, a lot of students really want the CAP hours to be longer. We would all like, a lot of us would like soft serve ice cream in there. And hey, I would love composting on campus, and if I could get that done overnight, if we could get these things done overnight, we would.
And we wouldn't be here though. We wouldn't need to be here.
We wouldn't need to be here if we got them done overnight. But the reason that we are here right now is because these things don't happen overnight. So that's why you vote in USG, and that's why you elect candidates like us. Thank you.
And then I have just like one more small question. So you guys have, like, you guys keep bringing up like the swing idea. How will you guys kind of react to the, like, I know a lot of students have like very negative feelings about the Grubhub robots. How will you like kind of just react to, because I feel like some students are going to see the swings and be like, this is what Fordham is using our tuition on. This is where the increase in prices are. How are you guys going to react to that?
I mean, I think that's completely fair. Although I think the robots are cute, I've definitely almost been run over by one or two. So I see where the complaints come from, but I think at the core of the swings, and what we will tell students is not only do students seem very enthusiastic about it, and we hope to only do things that students are comfortable and supportive of, but it's also not a huge budget constraint. Swings are not that expensive. I've also had a lot of students come up to me as VP of Facilities and Dining and say they want not only swings, but hammocks and more chairs on the lawn. And so at the end of the day, this just goes to enhancing the student experience. It's not a huge bill that we have to foot. It's just something that we might as well use the money we have to pay to the university, and we might as well use it for something that makes us happier.
All right, thank you guys. It's 6:56. We can take this through to 7 o'clock if we do have additional questions from the audience. Do we? Yeah, okay. We'll go to Andrew, and then we'll go to Andrew.
Hi guys. Since you have all been on USG for quite some while, how come you haven't already worked to try and pass the proposals that you are now campaigning on?
You guys want to start? Should we?
I can answer that first. So, a little bit about me. I was a senator last semester, but I always wanted to be a senator since freshman year. Aiden Costello, who's in the crowd right there, and is the VP of sexual misconduct, I think. But he kind of intimidated me originally during my freshman year, but now I'm ready to go and ready to work. One thing that really changed my experience while being on USG for that one impactful semester was just getting to know everybody and being able to have those takeaways where I could listen to my student body. Really taking that time aside and listening to their concerns moved me to, within that short span that I was there, maybe less than 16 weeks, write 2 proposals individually because I wasn't on a proposal team as opposed to my peers. I was on the Governing Documents Commission, which reviews the official United Student Government documents and goes through them on a team of about 5 students. I worked on the international student proposal to assist them with global transition and just working all the kinks that are going on. And I worked on this actually with the support of the VP of International Integration after I was done. And in addition to that, like I said, I already had worked on a proposal for transfer student advising and mentorship, and then there was another initiative and talk directly to senior leadership after I post the plan and a timeline, and that is to have the Center for Community Engaged Learning working with Fordham University students and placing them in different local schools to give back to our community. As we said, I'm part of the New York City community. I was born and raised here. Johnston is also from New York. So we really value our community and giving back. To me, Fordham is personal, and it's something that I grew up around and I always wanted to be a part of, and now it's at times to make a difference and continue making change. Because, like I said in my short time, I was able to do that. Not with proposals, but also through direct, not just with proposals, but also through direct communication with administration. Thank you.
And for my part, I will say, as the Vice President of Communications Marketing, my primary role is to work on the website, the Instagram, to get updates out there on what we're doing. So the majority of my time is taken up by that, but I have assisted on proposals in the past, such as the menstrual products one, and I definitely have plans to work on other proposals, including one with Senator Soderberg and Senator Garcia, candidate Ashley Garcia, on a proposal to educate students on a self-exam for tumors in the shower.
Awesome, I love that idea. All right, I also wish I had accomplished everything on our platform in 2 semesters, but unfortunately that isn't necessarily feasible. But with the support of the wider USG, we hope to make sure that the things we put in our platform actually come to fruition. Each USG VP we all have our own committees, and within our committees we have responsibilities. So Aiden's VP of Sustainability, I'm VP of Facilities and Dining. But in addition to our roles running our committee, we have been able to make some substantive progress through the marketplace proposal, bird window stickers, which we talked to the VP of Administration about, expanding access to career-oriented jobs on campus, restoring community gardening spaces like St. Rose's Garden, a campus accessibility map, which we hope will come out soon, the soft serve ice cream machine proposal, funding commuter student meals, e-waste bins on campus, more opportunities to make complaints about food on campus, also making sure that students have access to long-term care, as well as making sure that students have an increased amount of connections outside of Fordham. Those are just some of the things we worked on this semester. We have been definitely busy fulfilling other promises that we made in our last campaign, and we intend to make sure that just like all of these other promises we fulfilled and we've already done, we intend to make sure that the ones in our current platform get completed through the help of the wonderful VPs who will take office and the wonderful senators who will take office. Because if I learned anything about my time on the student government, is you don't get things done by doing it alone. Believe me, I've tried. Nearly impossible. You do things with the community that you have and by leaning on others to support, and that is the type of community we want to foster in student government.
Yeah, just to honestly follow up on that, this is Maddie and I's first year on USG, and it's also important to acknowledge that the transformation that both of these committees has undergone, I'm sure Maddie's going to get to that in a second, but the Sustainability Committee, transitioning into my junior year, my first year, truly being on USG and taking up the role of being a vice president, I was given the email list of 10 members. And, I can very proudly say we're now an active committee of over 35 members. And so, I really appreciate your question, and the Sustainability Committee has accomplished a lot, but we have our responsibilities, we have our subcommittees, and yeah, we're running for re-election to further our goals and, accomplish new things.
I was given an emailing list of 0, and a committee that met once every month if we felt like it. So changing that into a committee that meets weekly, and I meet with dining every other week in my committee and every week during my committee, has been a big accomplishment. And that is why we hope to run for the executive ticket, because we know what it takes to reform a structure, and we hope to do the same thing with the larger student government.
All right, well, let's give our executive tickets.
Thanks for the warm welcome, guys. My name is Robbie Milovitz. I am the candidate for Vice President of Student Experience. I'm a junior at Fordham College Rose Hill. I'm currently majoring in history and minoring in medieval studies. And I'd like to be the Vice President of Student Experience. So I've got a pretty big background in leadership, and I'm heavily involved in student activities here on campus. Currently, I've been on the Student Experience Committee for 3 years. I'm currently serving as a subcommittee chair. So I got a better idea of how the committee itself works and how the connection is between like Dean McClade and the committee itself. A lot of the stuff that we do as a committee impacts our student involvement. So we plan events like Beacon Exemplars, Keating Steps, Guided Sunday, and more. To hopefully bring up the student involvement and happiness in campus. My plan, if elected as VP, is to continue those events and hopefully implement some more. Currently, we've got those major events. Right now we're creating a art gallery in second floor McShane to increase student involvement. Yeah. A lot of my leadership background does come from ROTC. As you guys can see, do have, I'm part of Army ROTC. I have been able to I've been able to tweak the kinks out in my leadership there, so I feel like I'm pretty prepared to lead the Student Experience Committee. Ideally, one of the events I want to implement as a vice president is maybe a paint and sip night. I think that might be a great way to de-stress from college, kind of enjoy time with friends, and increase student happiness. So, if any of you guys have questions, that's all I have.
So same question as I just asked, but pertaining to student life and experience, what do you think is the current biggest issue concerning Fordham students, and how would you address it as the VP of Student Life and Experience?
Yeah, so I think one of the major events we have is kind of student involvement. One of the events I guess I can talk about is like sporting events. So what I've noticed in my time here at Fordham, we don't really have a big school spirit. Partly due to some of the team's performances, but it's kind of hard to play well if you don't have a crowd supporting you, right? So I think one of the ways we can change that and help improve school spirit is maybe have some kind of event. I know we already do like tailgates, but maybe some other kind of event that can help bring people together and make them more likely to go to these like sporting events and cheer on their teams. Maybe we'll start seeing greater results and elevation and happiness in the student body.
Thank you. And then also regarding increasing and adding new events and activities for Fordham students, you mentioned your idea for paint and sip night. Do you have any other ideas for other types of events, and how would you incorporate student voices and opinions into deciding which events you decide to do?
Yeah, so one of the events that we can definitely implement is working with CPS and trying to get more mental health events out there. As USG, I think we do a pretty decent job in making sure our students are cared for like at high stress points like during midterms and finals, but I think mental health goes farther than just those main events. As students, we do have stressful lives. So I think maybe working with CPS, trying to get, like we have the botanical garden, trying to get like nature walks with like counselors or some kind of event like that going. I think that could be cool. In terms of getting students involved, what I've seen in my time as a committee member and subcommittee chair in the student experience committee is that we do have an open forum. So anyone can come in and tell us like, hey, this is what we've been seeing. Like maybe if you guys would consider doing an event like this, we can definitely work with all the other clubs at Fordham and all the other main departments like deans and all that stuff to help make that happen. It's just not everyone knows the certain issues pertaining to certain people, so if we can get that student voice, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Contribute to being vice president of student experiences?
I think with that being a history major, it is kind of analytical, and it makes you want to seek out different viewpoints. Legal studies as a minor and as an area of study is ever changing, so new stuff is coming out every so often. Textbooks are always being changed, so I think it helps me in this position of Vice President of Student Experience by really focusing on different viewpoints from different people, taking in all of the opinions they have, and kind of trying to implement that into one coherent plan and make it work.
All right, thank you.
I'm a rising senior majoring in marketing, pursuing a dual concentration in global business and consulting. Over the past 3 years, Gabelli and the GSB Dean's Council have shaped my experience both academically and through shaping who I am as a leader and as a whole. If elected, I will lead with transparency, collaboration, and accountability in a way that's intentional and truly reflects what students need, while strengthening the work of our 5 subcommittees: Bridge, Mentorship, Academic, Marketing, and Outreach. One of my main priorities is advocating for students balancing academics and internships. As a Gabelli student, you often feel an expectation to intern during your spring and fall semester, and unexpected schedule changes like Monday schedules can create real conflicts. Students are left to choose between looking good at their jobs and potentially getting full-time roles, and skipping class and, with the lack of an excuse, absence, risking your grade dropping by a full letter in the case of some professors. So I want to work with USG to push an initiative to make internships count towards excused absences. I also want to improve visibility and transparency. Many students don't have the pleasure to know that Dean's Council exists, or if they do, they don't really know what we do, which makes it harder for us to represent you. Your feedback should lead to real, tangible improvements. Another priority is strengthening mentorship by expanding peer and alumni connections, so students have access to real guidance on internship, classes, and career paths. Yes, we have a mentorship subcommittee at the moment, but it could really use our support. I also want to work closely with marketing to better communicate our initiatives and celebrate student achievements. We're present on social media, but again, sometimes we do lack that in-person presence that the council needs. I've been a part of the GSB Dean's Council since my first semester freshman year, served as junior co-chair for the entirety of my sophomore year, and returned as a subcommittee member on Bridge after spending my time abroad in London last semester. I've also served as USG VP of International Integration in the past, so I've been part of the executive board and know how to lead a committee successfully through budget requests, interclub collaborations, and strategic planning. I've also been serving as a Global Transition Student Coordinator for the past 2 years, aiding international students through that transition into college, with a lot of them being their first time in the US. So I know how to turn ideas into actions with the help of admin. Gabelli has given me so much through opportunities, community, and confidence. And as chair, I want to ensure that every student feels seen, supported, and empowered, not just those that are involved in campus, but our Gabelli community as a whole. So thank you so much, and go Roxby and Nova for VP of Gabelli. So you mentioned you want to increase alumni connections to help students get internships and connections and things like that. How specifically would you do that? What would that look like? So we currently have a lot of mentorship opportunities through FAM, and I know our council does a lot of one-on-one talks with upperclassmen when it comes to major declarations. We do have a lot of support from PPD as well. But in the case of international students, maybe, such as myself, a lot of the times we get redirected to resources that don't necessarily hire students on F1 visas. So through Dean's Council and the International Integration Committee, I've worked in the past to bring panelists with this experience in firms that do hire these students and can help bridge that gap. And I think we should have that not just for international students, but for specific sections of Gabelli and the Florida community as a whole.
Thank you. And then in your platform, you also talked about, and you talked about in your speech, strengthening transparency and visibility among students. Are you going to elaborate a little bit on what that would look like and how you would do that?
Yeah, of course. We do a lot of tablings in Hugh's lobby. However, a lot of people don't step foot there. A lot of freshmen don't step foot there. You don't have classes there, or at least I didn't have classes there until I was working on the Consulting Cup. So it can be a little bit intimidating. So I think maybe tabling in safer spaces like McShane or Eddie's and hosting more events catered towards those students would be a great opportunity for people to know what the council is doing, what we can do for students if they have any concerns that want to get brought up, whether that's on the academic level or the social level. Just be a resource for them that's actually available.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone. So, my name is Aiden Costello. I'm a neuroscience major and I'm minoring in sociology. A little bit about me. I have served on USG and CSM for 3 years now, but I've been the VP of Health and Security and the chair of the Committee on Such Misconduct for 2 years now. And it has been such an honor, and it is something that is very aligned with my passions. But regardless of the leadership title, like stripping that away, I joined CSM like one of my first weeks at Fordham because I really wholeheartedly believe that stigma and judgment are really the main perpetuator of people accessing the resources and care that they should be entitled to. And whether it's stigma through family or friends or larger or broader like social dynamics at play, or whether it's stigma that is embedded within institutions. So, and it's something I'm deeply passionate about. I'm writing a sociology honors thesis about structural stigma and how that gets embedded into like norm enforcement. So it's something I plan to do with my life's work. But yeah, so through CSM, I want to talk to you guys about what I've done. And so we have done a lot of communication with administration, and you know, things don't, as the previous executive tickets mentioned before, things don't always, you know, get implemented, or things don't always get, you know, acted on. But I think that the little things that go under the bridge, even like the minute conversations that we have, still instill the student perspective into administration, which I feel like is extremely valid. So through CSM and its VP of Health and Security, I have worked on with Senator Carson's and Senator Fideli and Lucas for the contraceptive policy reform at the state of the students. I have been consistently meeting with the Title IX office, and I've met with OMA in the past to implement a proposal for a trauma-informed approach around the reporting process, because sometimes students, when they're trying to navigate the reporting process, it isn't a streamlined process. And it makes students feel maybe not necessarily institutionally supported. So making that process transparent and visible to students, especially integrating that into the care programming for freshmen, is something that I've been working with the Office of Prevention and Support to do. Integrating that into the freshman dorms and into Res Life, so students are aware of the reporting process, how it works. Even the Title IX office, you know, has spoken to me about, we want to make this more aware to students. It's extremely important, you know, because students need to know their rights and what they have access to. But through CSM also, I have coordinated 4 week of actions, which is a semesterly, I guess, cascade of events that CSM likes to hold. It's 5 events in a row. And basically what we do is try to amplify the voices of survivors. But recently I brought to CSM the idea of kind of spreading more awareness around sexual health. So we have had programming around that as well. We brought people from Bronx DA's office to talk about certain disproportionate health effects that affect LGBTQ plus populations. We have brought outside speakers to talk about bystander intervention. We've done a lot of different programming events. We've upheld a lot of traditional events too. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware of the Clothesline Project, which has been happening for a while. But we have that in the beginning of CSM Week of Action to kind of serve as a lingering message for the entire week to show that the Fordham community stands by survivors, and that, you know, sexual violence is obviously not tolerated. But outside of CSM as well, as VP of Health and Security, I've worked with the Health Center to kind of bridge a connection between the Oval Center, which is a sexual health clinic down Fordham Road, and to try to make that more transparent at the Health Center. So I've communicated with Maureen, and I've also worked with Senator Casella on making the vaccinations and all the pricing for insurance, like the insurance costs and stuff like that, more transparent to students so they know when they get tests done and vaccinations, that they are aware of the charges. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just hope to continue serving and continue working with administration. It's been a pleasure, and we are in the works of continuously doing things. I know things take time and things are an ongoing process, but it has been a pleasure being VP of Health and Security for the past 2 years. Thank you.
So in your platform, you mentioned increasing accountability and communication between students and the administration. What does that look like, and how would you specifically go about increasing that?
Yeah, so in the past we have done events such as like the resource fair. I'm not sure if I just mentioned that, but the resource fair where we brought campus departments all together in the same room, such as CPS, Health Center, Title IX Office, Prevention and Support, Campus Ministry, in the same room so we could have an open conversation and make students aware of the resources offered. But in terms of trying to get things fixed, it's important that every student, is aware that their voice matters, and I think through CSM, I try my best to make sure that administration knows what's going on. From the student perspective, also within the proposal for a trauma-informed approach, I have mentioned in the proposal that it's extremely vital that the survivor who's going through the process has feedback on the process and can make it known what the shortcomings of the reporting process is, how we can make this easier in the future for students. But also in the proposal, I mentioned that CSM should have at least bi-yearly or semesterly meetings with administrators and campus departments, and it should be set in stone, because sometimes it's hard to get in communication, especially with public safety and things like that. So to have those things set in stone going forward would be really important to kind of, urge administration to follow through with what we're asking for.
Got it, thank you. And then regarding the contraceptive policy proposal, which of course just passed through USG, but now has to go through the administration, if that is to be implemented, how would you next year expand on that to make sure that students actually have access to these contraceptive resources?
Yeah, so I mean, Henry and Dom and Lucas have done an amazing job. To make sure that students have access to the resources, it has to now go through the higher-ups to allow to change the distribution clause. So without that, we wouldn't be able to collaborate with off-campus organizations to get the contraceptives on campus and to be able to distribute them, because as of right now, as you most likely are aware, that is not allowed to personally hand someone a condom. That is prohibited. So that would be the first step, but I think the Contraceptive Policy Commission team has done historical work in making sure that this issue is known to administration through the state of the students, and yeah.
And so you mentioned you would work, just hypothetically, if the proposal did get passed and the policy got changed, you would work with outside organizations to get those resources distributed on campus. What would that look like?
Yeah, so that would look like whether it be through CSM or other organization or other clubs or anybody else who would like to distribute, whether it be through RODS. I know they've distributed in the past, or tried to at least. So yeah, contacting there's a bunch of organizations, whether it be Planned Parenthood or RAIN, but like organizations that are involved in, promoting awareness around sexual health, and especially that it disproportionately impacts college students. So just communicating with those organizations, but of course we have to get approval through administration first.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Birch, and I'm running to be your next Vice President of Health and Security. I'm a sophomore at Fordham College, Rose Hill, and I'm majoring in communications with a minor in political science on a pre-law track. I have been a member of the USG Section Misconduct Committee for the past 2 years, and I've acted as Vice Chair for 1. Outside of USG, I'm involved with the Literary Magazine, Intramural Soccer, and a proud recent MVP of the Benchwarmers basketball team. That's brag. But my true passion is advocacy. For the past 4 years, I've worked to raise awareness about sexual misconduct and support survivors. In high school, I developed a 2-year research project focused on bystander intervention, consent education, and addressing sexual misconduct within relationships. At Fordham, I've given my all to CSM. I'm incredibly proud of all of our members and all of the work that we have done, but I know that we can do more. As Vice President of Health and Security, I will work to build a campus culture rooted in awareness, prevention, and support. This starts with the red zone. The red zone is a period that researchers refer to as from August to Thanksgiving, when more than half of all sexual misconduct cases occur in college campuses. If we want to make real change, we need to be proactive, not reactive. That means better education, earlier engagement, and stronger connection between students and the resources available to them. I plan to work with the orientation team to make programming more engaging and impactful for our first-year students. I will advocate for incorporating the documentary role play, which highlights students actively working to change campus culture around sexual assault, because these conversations need to start early, and they need to resonate with students to be the most effective that they can be. I will also work with the Title IX office and CSM to redesign the reporting website to make it clear, accessible, and rooted in empathy. As our current website stands, the wording is confusing, not specific, and the language doesn't reflect the sensitivity of these crimes. Supporters of sexual assault deserve language that reflects the seriousness of what they're experiencing and the guidance and clarity in deciding what to do next. To make resources more visible, I will push for QR code materials in residence halls and communal spaces, including all communal bathrooms in dorms, specifically in freshman dorms, because those are the students that don't know our resources the most. They need to be educated and aware of all the amazing resources that Fordham offers them, that they know that they're not alone in this new environment and new community. Because right now, too many students don't know where to turn. I've spoken to way too many students who don't know how to report sexual assault or access support when they need it the most. They don't know what the process looks like. They don't know what mandated reporting actually means. And this is what needs to change. As VP of Health and Security, I will fight to create a Fordham where survivors' voices are amplified, resources are accessible, and no student ever feels alone in seeking help. Thank you.
So you spoke about freshman programming regarding educating them on sexual misconduct. Aside from the role play documentary, do you have any ideas for other kinds of programming that you would like to incorporate with the freshman class?
Yes, I think specifically we need to have, we tried to have it this past year, but because of scheduling conflicts and things like that, we weren't able to get as many people to show up for it as we wanted to. But I really want to have a cup cover event. I think that spiking drinks is a real concern in any college campus, and I think the stigma around alcohol use, specifically with underclassmen, they don't want to report something if it concerns them drinking alcohol and possibly getting in trouble. So I think having programming around alcohol in the cup cover situation, that way they know they can come to Fordham, they can come to CSM, they can come to any of these amazing people that are paid by the school to support the students, and they want to be here to support the students so that they know all the different ways that they can get help. In addition, I want to implement having business cards made that can give it out at orientation that have the public safety number and other important hotlines, including the QR code that I was talking about with the site for how to report. That way students can put the business cards in their phones. That way if anything ever happens, it's with them at all times.
And you've spoken a lot about making sure to target the freshman class so that they are educated early on, but how would you expand this programming to other class years, especially those that didn't have this programming and these education opportunities in their freshman year?
Yes, to do that, I want to focus more on, well, one, we have a lot of events through CSM, but the issue is, we could say it's participation, but I think what we need is to have more advertising for these events so that more people can come. More flyers should be made. I'm on the social media team. I make a lot of the social media posts, so it wouldn't be hard to do, but I'm willing to put in the work to make sure that there's more advertising for these programs and include events for
all different ranges of people and survivors and things like that, have more mental health awareness events such as going on a communal walk in the Botans, or I want to incorporate more events with campus ministry, because I think as a Jesuit school, there's a lot of complex relationships associated with sexual assault survivors and religious shame because of it. So I think we need to bridge that gap by working with the campus ministry to see what we can do to have those who want to explore their faith more go about it in a way that can make them feel empowered. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'll keep this short and sweet. My name's Demetrius. I'm a sophomore. I'm an environmental studies major, and I'm running for VP of Sustainability. A little background on me. I've been a part of SUSCOM for 2 years now. I currently serve as the Eco-Rep subcommittee chair. In this, I have led a team to produce monthly events such as tablings and panels, and these aim to engage and educate the Fordham community and really promote sustainability and sustainable change to Fordham. So yeah, some of the most popular things that we've done have really been enjoyed by students. We do a lot of fun tablings, but they also, aim to educate and aim to promote sustainability. If elected, I would love to improve the waste system at Fordham. I think that currently we aren't doing a good enough job of standardizing recycling and composting systems here. And so really talking to the administration and getting the proposals that have already existed in the past to exist long-term and keeping Fordham accountable for that. Secondly, I think growing the student engagement. I think currently, like I've said, the Eco-Rep subcommittee has done a great job of doing that and doing that through events. But I would like to see a little bit more impact and influence through those events. So to do that and to also promote a more obtainable and easy transition into sustainability for students. I think a lot of times sustainability kind of gets this bad rep of being a chore and not fitting into everybody's lifestyles, and I think we can definitely change that by implementing tablings and events that are going to kind of get to the hearts of people's interests and passions in connection with sustainability. And lastly, I think we have a very strong connection within sustainability clubs at Rose Hill, but I would like to create a formal network that connects Lincoln Center and Rose Hill, as well as with other organizations and clubs at Fordham, especially with the Bronx Green Job Center coming next fall. I would like to facilitate great and strong connections with them to get students opportunities in sustainability and hopefully promote a more sustainable change to Fordham. Thank you.
So you mentioned wanting to hold more events to educate students on sustainability. Do you have any ideas on what kinds of events you would hold and what they would look like?
Yeah, I think that tabling events, like we do now, are really important because they kind of break that first wall of for students. They come and they get to enjoy an activity or take something
kind of home with them, and that like leaves an impact, and then it becomes our job to properly educate them on that subject and to keep them engaged through those tablings. I also think that panels and workshops have been underused in our committee. I think that one, the attendance to them isn't always the best, but I want to be able to promote those and really apply those to different subjects in which students will be interested. That way they don't see sustainability as something that is solo. It is something that is integrated in every single subject and every single major that we're studying.
And then in your platform, you mentioned wanting to connect students with the Bronx Green Jobs Center. How would you forge that connection, and have you spoken with the administration and the Bronx Green Jobs Center on if and how that would work?
Yeah, so I think the Bronx Green Jobs Center, it has its own obstacles it's kind of trying to take care of now in order to like be a thing in the fall. I think that they have come to SUSCOM to do presentations, and they've been in contact with Aiden. And I think that they really just want student involvement, and they have said that, and they have said that they really want to present opportunities for the Bronx overall community, but also for them as students, and especially for them students who are passionate about environmental problems or sustainability. And so I don't think it would be a big issue at all, or I think it would be pretty easy to get connections there and facilitate opportunities for students.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
We do a lot of great things, but surely our bread and butter is the Fordham Fleece Subcommittee. So how would you expand this program? How would you nurture this program and sustain it, as well as just, make it better in the long run?
Well, I think that prioritizing, you can let me know if I'm wrong, but prioritizing the Fordham Fleet Subcommittee is going to only further the problems that we kind of had with, I think, making a real impact and influencing sustainable change at Fordham. I think by focusing on the reorganization of the subcommittee structure and really prioritizing every subcommittee to know exactly what they are doing, and every single person in that subcommittee to know exactly what they're doing and to have a goal in mind, obviously a sustainable goal, and that being bringing very big or impactful change to Fordham is what we should be doing. But to kind of answer your question a little bit more, I think that Fordham Fleet could definitely improve by getting in contact with other outside organizations better, and getting clothes and donations from them, and hosting their flea markets and stuff.
Sorry about the selfie, I don't have any professional headshots. But anyway, my name is Lauren Gracia. I am from San Antonio, Texas. I am a freshman, and I am running to be the Vice President of Facilities and Dining. I've been on this committee for the past year, and I've had such a wonderful experience. I initially joined because I wanted to be involved in student experience, and I honestly didn't know what the committee really did. But since then, I've gotten to understand so much more about how the committee works and how broad its reach is. Facilities and dining really does so much, and we have such a large impact on the student body because pretty much everyone eats in dining locations, and we are all actively using Fordham facilities right now. However, not a lot of people know what Facilities and Dining Committee does, and I think this is really where we can grow. Maddie has established a wonderful relationship between our committee and Fordham Dining, and that access has given us the opportunity to make immediate change, like at our previous Monday meeting, where we were able to bring up concerns, get feedback on our proposals, and learn their updates. But because people don't really know about us, they aren't able to directly voice their comments or concerns, which leaves the committee members responsible for bringing up their own concerns or getting concerns by word of mouth, which is not as effective. Even while I was collecting signatures to become a candidate, I heard comments and concerns such as vegetarian and gluten-free options, or music in the dining hall, things like that. So I'd like to make facilities and dining more accessible to people through more regular tablings for general feedback, as well as an online survey posted on a regular basis through our social media before our bi-weekly meetings with dining, so that students can give direct feedback to us before we talk to dining, and we're able to give that voice to students. This also requires us to improve our social media presence, which has already been getting better and more consistent this semester. Facilities and Dining is currently one of, if not the most productive committee in United Student Government, and I'd like to continue this momentum by better utilizing our internal structure. We have 4 subcommittees that are currently underutilized because of the small size of our committee, but by making them a core part of our committee, we can focus our initiatives on those 4 principles, creating the possibility for internal leadership positions, which will hopefully attract more members, and also allow for group proposals. I personally presented and passed a proposal this year, and it was incredibly intimidating to walk into USG. So hopefully having these group proposal opportunities, we would encourage more engagement with our members, as well as make the experience more positive and less scary. So in summary, I loved my time on this committee, and I'm excited to see it grow. So even though I'm running unopposed, I love your support. Thank you.
So you mentioned the relationship that Maddie in this position has created with Fordham Dining. How would you continue to forge and expand that relationship in the position?
Yeah, so through working on my proposal, I actually got very familiar with Orla, who's the head of Fordham Dining, and we have bi-weekly meetings with them already, so I think continuing that, as well as creating more regular meetings with facilities. We met with them at the beginning of each semester, but I think we can increase that, since so many of our proposals have to do with facilities on campus, and as well as increasing student input in those meetings so that they're more effective and more efficient.
And then it's been brought up a lot at USG meetings as well as just in general that students have concerns regarding the quality of food at Fordham and the prevalence of food poisoning. How would you address those student concerns?
Yeah, so like Maddie said, dining is working so hard, and we're bringing up those concerns at every single meeting. And so I think keeping student voice centered in those concerns is really important, as well as, we talked about how they're doing a new contract with dining this upcoming year. So I think making sure student voice is centered in that, and making sure that, our dietary needs, our food preferences are being really taken into consideration.